All right. Well, that was a whole thing, if I do say so myself. All righty. Oh. Welcome, everybody, to the Nick Haeling podcast. I am Nick Haeling. I apologize for the technical difficulties. When one computer doesn't want to work, you just got to grab a second one. And I got to go grab one more thing, too. Great. Hold on 1 second here. Oh, there we go. All righty. So now, just as you can see today, we do not have a guest. This is going to be the second way of the podcast where basically I just take questions and talk about how I want to feel. So some days we're not going to be as lucky to have people who are on the show. So this is what that's for. But before I get started, just want to talk about how I got involved in starting this and everything. And it's just, I went into it a little bit yesterday, but this is something that some are funny. There's so many different types of podcasts and things that you can do that make it so much better for people to get their stories out via different platforms and how they feel. And it's something that I wanted to do. I've met a lot of really cool people in my life. I've met amazing stories, and it's something that I've just felt passionate about. It was about 3 years ago when I really started thinking about doing it. And basically it came down to just pulling the trigger now. I mean, it's one thing to say you want thing, and it's a completely different thing when you actually go and do it. And there's a lot of fear and stuff sometimes behind that. And it's just sometimes you need to realize that, yeah, you might suck and maybe that wasn't for you. But I believe it's just silly. It's a quote I heard from the TV show Adventure Time. Sucking is just the beginning of being good at anything. So even if you do suck at something when you first started, that you shouldn't still be discouraged. You should definitely still keep going and try it out and see if it's something that you think you can do with your life. And that's why I'm doing this. I've decided that this is something that I'm passionate about. I like talking. I mean, some people do, some people don't, but I think that I could be able to bring a lot of cool things to a lot of cool people. And with that being said, oh my God, it's only been 3 minutes. It's a lot easier when there's somebody else here. I know this is only my second episode, so this is going to be a lot harder, I think, than doing it regular. So with an interview, I mean regular. Let's just go ahead and get into it. So hopefully some of this is funny. Some of this will be serious. We're just going to take it at face value and go from there, basically. And if you like it, stay in. If you don't, well, cheers. Anyway, so basically what I'm just going to go through is just some stories that I've been reading in the news today and sports. So we're going to start off a little bit lighter. Over the weekend, as you all, I don't know if anybody knows this about me or not. If you don't know this, I'm a huge lacrosse fan. I coach high school lacrosse. I love it. It's always been a huge passion of mine. And one day I hope to coach college lacrosse. But until then, I'll be sitting here doing the Nick Haeling podcast, which is pretty fun. So basically what I'm trying to get into is the Ohio State Maryland game on Saturday. That's the first thing we're going to talk about. So anybody who's interested in lacrosse, stay tuned. If not, maybe you can come back in a minute or go to the bathroom or something. So number 1, Maryland played unranked Ohio State in Maryland, and it was one of the best lacrosse games I think I had ever seen. Basically came down to the wire. I believe the final score was 10-8. I might be wrong on that. I don't have it in front of me right now, but it was just a great game. There was a kid from, I believe, Coronado. His name is Anthony DeMaio, I believe, who scored during the game, which was pretty cool. So you got to hear a shout out for San Diego lacrosse, which I'm a big, backer of and want everybody to know that that's something that I'm passionate about. But the other thing is that I don't want to say resurgence, but the swell of how the sport is picking up is really cool. When I was playing in college or when I was playing in high school, I mean, Ohio State was nothing to think about. That wasn't a team. The teams back then were your Syracuses, your Johns Hopkins, your Navy, your Notre Dame. But now with the growth of the sport, you're seeing schools like Michigan and Ohio State starting to, Ohio State was in the national championship last year for people who don't know. And it's really cool to start to blossom. Denver University was a big one when I was younger. That was really cool. That was the first one, I guess you could say west of the Mississippi to really become a powerhouse and then eventually win a national championship, which I thought was really cool. Definitely. And then also for people listening today, I will, if you have any questions or anything like that, I will be answering any and all questions that you guys decide that you want to post. Keep it decent. That's all I got to ask. And then also just to let you guys know, for the rest of the week too, we do have guests lined up. So this is only going to be in between, here and in between each time. So it's not going to be a constant thing where you're just going to hear me talking for an hour about nothing. I plan on having more people on the show than not having people on the show. I don't think anybody really wants to listen to me talk for 45 minutes to 60 minutes straight. And I don't want to do that either because that sounds awful. But this is something that I said I was going to do. And even if I didn't have a guest, I was still going to be able to find a way to get on and make it happen. So that's something that I'm working on. And from there, yeah, we got 2 really cool guests lined up for tomorrow. Actually, I don't know. We got to make sure we have it completely lined up for tomorrow. But the next day, I'll tell you guys at the end who she is. She's actually going to be giving a presentation in Escondido about financial freedom, I believe. And I'll give you more details on that later. All right. So back to the news here. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, okay. How about the basketball last night? There were some chippy basketball games on, if you guys didn't watch last night. And it was Oklahoma City versus the Utah Jazz. And I know you're thinking Utah. Well, like, how chippy could that be? Man, this game looked like a 90s basketball game. One of those games where you're just sitting there just watching it going, okay, are these guys going to fight or are they actually just going to keep playing basketball? Because I'm not really quite sure. Russell Westbrook. Oh, and there was a play, actually, no, it was Carmelo Anthony. And what's his name? The guy from New Zealand, Steven Adams. And then there was another guy, I think his last name was Crowder from Utah. Crowder just throws this elbow right into Adams' face. And first of all, when you get elbowed in the face, it doesn't feel good. So the lack of reaction from Adams, I was pretty surprised by. But Carmelo Anthony was not a happy person. He came right over to him, and they looked very Jordan, Reggie Miller-esque, except without the eye gouging part. Other than that, it was pretty much the same thing. But it was definitely something crazy right there, and I just definitely wasn't sure what was going on at the time, but definitely a very chippy game, and definitely something that was not expecting to see. But yeah. So moving on. I really didn't. I was supposed to have a guest on today, and unfortunately, we had to reschedule just due to I wasn't sure if they were going to be on. So I'm really just pulling at strings here right now, trying to keep it alive as much as possible. But have no fear. I'm going to be here, and we're going to have lots more people on and things like that. And you know what, though? Even if I do struggle a little bit, I'm not really concerned. This is something I've decided to do not too long ago. And it's, like I said before, a passion. And I'm only going to get better. I've had people from all the people I've never met before because I've been trying to promote this, trying to get it out to people to be interested in. A lot of support, which is kind of cool. People ask with audio visual if I need guests. So I'm really confident that I'm going to be able to take this to the next level. But at the same time, it is not easy sitting here talking by yourself for an hour, trying to make it work. But we're going to make it work. And that's all that really matters, because we're fighters. And by I mean we, I mean everybody listening, talking to you guys. But moving on. So I guess we can just go ahead and start off by saying, welcome to the studio. I guess I've never even really given you the grand tour here. So we are live in my garage, aka the man cave. Just basically my dojo. This is where everything's gonna happen for the entire show. And you're about to see a pit bull come into the camera in about 2 seconds. Come on. But move back to the all right, buddy. Back to the thing in hand here. What something that I've really been wanting to work on is I wanted to always be a bit of a broadcaster. I like commenting on things and being able to get my views and opinions out to people in a way that they could see it to be good. You know, I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to be your dad or your mom, tell you what to do. But I am here to, you know, like I said before, give a platform to people who may have not have thought of this, or may have not have had the means or the ways to do it. And from there, I think I'm not trying to do this to make money. I'm not trying to do this to get famous. I'm not even trying to do this to get any notoriety. This is just something that I like to do. It's more of a hobby. And if I can help other people while I'm doing my hobby, then I'll do anything I can to do that. That's 100% what I'm here to do. Now, let's see here. Brave move by my mom. All right, let's see. We're going to go through here a little bit and see here. All right, John, can the Wolves bounce back from a 3-1 to the Rockets? Absolutely not. No. Stick a fork in them. They're done. See you later. Goodbye. There's no way that the Timberwolves may win one more game, but I don't see them. All right, this one's from my buddy Ryan. This is for a lot of gamers out there. He's asking about the game NHL 18, and there's this thing called Ice Tilt. Now, I don't even know where to start about Ice Tilt. Basically, what this is it's a program or an algorithm, or I don't know. It's bullcrap is what it is, that makes the game like the difficulties change for one player to the other. So basically what happens is if you're winning really bad in a game and the Ice Tilt turns on, every shot that the other person shoots is going to go in. And it's the most frustrating thing you've ever seen. And yes, it is real. It's basically, people say it's an urban legend. It's not, because they introduced it a long time ago and they said they got rid of it and they lied to us. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Wolves embarrassed themselves in the third. Yes, they did. They came out strong in 2 quarters and decided to sit out the third one. Let's see what else we have here. Julio Jones just took down all of his Falcon picks on Insta. Oh, my goodness. Is Julio Jones saying goodbye to the Atlanta Falcons? More importantly, where does Julio Jones go if he leaves the Atlanta Falcons? Who's got the money? So we've got Des Bryant, Julio Jones now. Both are free agents. New York is trying to become a resurgent team again. Do you just let Odell go and pull the trigger on Des and Julio? Ooh. Hot take? Maybe smoking hot right there? I don't know. You guys tell me. Oh, Brandon Marshall, also a free agent, but I would not put Brandon Marshall in the same echelons as Julio Jones, Des Bryant, or Odell Beckham Jr. I think he's a good receiver, and 5 years ago, I would have probably put him in the same, or 4 years ago, let alone. But he's older now. He's got into the broadcasting side of things. he's going to have a hard time deciding whether or not he wants to play football. Because if you look at even the non-players, look at a guy like John Gruden, who decided to do broadcasting for almost, what was that, 8 years or something, and was getting ridiculous amounts of money thrown at him. I mean, you have to just throw out the bombshell, $100 million for 10 years to finally get him to do it. But I mean, there was money coming at him before. There was a lot of money coming at him before. And you got to realize that the broadcasting side, Tony Romo straight up said, I would come back to play football if the Cowboys called me. And then 3 weeks into broadcasting, he was like, oh, never mind. This is awesome. Why would I ever do that? That's silly. Sasquatch or bust? Ooh. So I don't know about Sasquatch. You know what? It's one of those things. I mean, the Giants have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. And the first question you have to think about is, what do you do with Eli Manning? Does Eli bounce back, or do you stick a fork in him and call it a day? Because you can't have that type of risk on your team where you just scrape into the playoffs, even if you make it into the playoffs, and then hope that Eli becomes Eli during the playoffs and does his thing. So you got to start there. That's the one thing that I think about, is that if you don't have a reliable quarterback on your team, everything else is over. That's why I like Tyrod Taylor on the Cleveland Browns. I think that's a good place for him. He's consistent. I think he's been a plus 65% completion rating quarterback his entire career. It'll give whoever they draft, whether it's Josh Allen or Josh Rosen or Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold, it'll give him time to get groomed in. The one thing that I've never really liked, and it rarely ever turns out well, is when you decide that you're going to take a quarterback in the draft and throw him in first game and just see what happens. And there's a few exceptions to it. One being Derek Carr, who won the spot from a armless Matt Schaub. Pretty sure I could have beat Matt Schaub out for that job at that time. I remember watching him in the preseason when Derek Carr first started playing, and that guy was throwing. Looks like he was throwing a balloon in the air. It was terrible. But definitely he is one of those exceptions. But I mean, look at him now. It's not like he's become a top tier quarterback. He's middle of the road. And 2 years ago, everybody was salivating over him because he had that cannon arm. Nobody had heard from him coming out of Fresno State. And it was just this big mystery. But not saying he's not a good quarterback. He's my quarterback. I'm a Raiders fan. I love him. But the last 2 seasons, I guess this last season and a little bit the season before, was a bit of a dip. So you really need to see that resurgence in this time right now. He needs to come back up, or it's just going to be an issue. And that's just where we're going to have to figure it out from there. Ooh, here we go. Shaquem Griffin. I like this. Okay. So for those of you who don't know who Shaquem Griffin is from the University of Central Florida. He plays linebacker and has one arm, just one. But this guy ran the fastest 40 time ever by a linebacker. This guy is a beast. For me, I mean, I think a good place for Griffin would be places that need a linebacker work. So like Oakland is a good example, or Seattle is another good one that I think he'd do very well in Seattle under Pete Carroll. Miami, I think he would do well. But I mean, there's a lot of places that don't need, a pass rusher but the thing is with him is he's an all-around linebacker. I think he had 11 interceptions in his career. So it's like he can play the coverage as well as he can go in on the inside. And Oakland could use him really well because they're in need of their linebackers are old. We haven't been able to find some good ones. Gruden's even said it. It's one of those situations where you need to just upgrade from the bottom up. You can't keep signing players who are 5, 7, been a team who's only been in the league for 2 years. It doesn't work that way. So when those things happen, you just have to play with it and go with that. See, moving on here. What else we got? Who else has a question? Yep. Marshall didn't do jack for the G-Men, 100%. Like I said before, he's lost his edge. And I think a lot of that has, like I said before, is the broadcasting. You make a lot of money working for Showtime and working for CBS. You make a lot of money playing football, but guess what? You don't get hit being a broadcaster. Al Michaels was on the Dan Patrick Show the other day. Shout out to the Dan Patrick Show. And he asked straight up, Al, would you rather have your career or Tom Brady's career? And he looks at him and goes, my career. I never got hit. Why would I ever have to go through that? And I'm one of the greatest sportscasters of all time. He's literally the man who called out it's a miracle on ice. Do you believe in miracles? So you got to, I mean, there's a high risk, high reward playing football, high reward, low risk in broadcasting. But at the same time, if you didn't start off as a broadcaster, it's really hard to get into it. I mean, I know I'm not going to be able to do it in a day or two, but having the ability to be a professional athlete and then transition into that is really good. That's why I think a lot of these professional athletes should get into communications and stuff like that, especially now with the rise of these podcasts and the millions of different outlets that people have to listen to things. Everybody's going to have a job. It's a no-brainer. And then you're just living the dream, having a good time. Let's see here. What else do we have? What's my take on this Joe Bug, Jim Buckmeyer food? Buckmeyer. First of all, I'm a big fan of Buckmeyer. Season 2's coming out. Great guy. Hank Azaria, great actor. I don't think it's real, but I think it's amazing. I think that everything that happens between the two of them is going to find itself in the annals of broadcasting legendary sports history. But besides that, I don't really know a whole lot. You know, I need to get back into it. It's something that I have. Can we all acknowledge that Chris Cody is in the building? Yeah, we can. But we won't. All right, moving on. Next thing here we have on topic. What do you want me to talk about? The CFL? You think Shaquem Griffin should go to the CFL? Ha. Get your trolling ass out of here, Ryan. We don't need your nonsense. Anyway, moving on. Draft day coming up Thursday. NFL draft. Everybody thought Josh Allen was going to go number 1. Then everybody thought Sam Darnold was going to go number 1. Then the talks about Saquon Barkley or Saquon or however you say his name going number 1. And now there are talks of Baker Mayfield going number 1. I think at this point, it's just mind games. I don't think anything's real. If you hear anything on social media or the news about them talking about a player, I think it's all bullcrap. I think they've already had their first pick set up months, weeks in advance. And everything now is just trying to make sure that you take the heat off of the guys that you want and you put all the spotlight on the people that you don't want. But at the same time, you never know. The Browns have been notorious for messing up on their drafts. So this could just be the Browns being the Browns. Could be the brownsiest brown thing you've ever seen here. Let's see here. But besides that, you never know. You just never know. All right, next question. How do I feel about the Sharks fan going up against the Las Vegas Knights? Not good. Okay. Pretty sure we only beat them once during the regular season. The fact that the Golden Knights are doing what they're doing right now is insanity. It's not something that I don't think we'll ever see in sports ever again. I think they said that the Vegas odds, if you were to bet on the Knights to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the season, were 500 to 1. So, I mean, if you just put down, I don't know, $10, you're up $5,000. That's insane. Just to think about that. And I bet there's probably people right now who made that bet. There's probably 100 different people who made that bet. Vegas is going to get cooked if the Knights go to the Stanley Cup. Because I bet you there were bets too everywhere that were just them making the playoffs, them making it past the first round, them making it to the Stanley Cup. Those are things that are probably that we're still being betted on. Definitely to the point where Vegas right now is probably a little nervous. Since then, now I think it's gone down to 5 to 1. So, well, you had your chance. You got to wait until the next NHL expansion team comes out and bet the farm. And let's see here. What else do we have? But you know what, though? I definitely think that the Sharks have a chance, though. That's the thing. They're an older team, but they're a playoff team. They don't. I think it's going to be tough. They can do it, but the main thing that's going to have to happen for them to do it is that they're going to have to pull out a game, a win in Vegas in the first two. There's no way. I don't think there's any way we see San Jose beating Vegas unless they win one or if two in Vegas, because you're not going to be able to go back there after 3 and 4 and pull it out. There's no way. If you go down 2, I'll call it right off the bat. It's over. They'll win 2, probably back in San Jose, and then it'll go 1-1-1 to 7, and it'll be over. That's the way I think it'll happen. I don't really see it going another way. Let's see here. What else do we have? My thoughts on Evander Kane. You know what? At first, when he first got drafted to San Jose, I was a little. I was excited, and then he didn't really perform for a while, so I was kind of just like, what did we get? But I thought about it, and once again, like I said before, San Jose is a playoff team. They probably didn't ask him to do a whole lot during the season, so it wasn't. But I wasn't also able to watch him a lot. That's the other problem. So I didn't really get to see a firsthand account of him playing. I'd only see his stats and the highlights, but I was tracking him, trying to see how he was doing. But since the playoffs have happened, that man is on fire. He's killing it. He's crushing it. I'm very happy that the Sabres decided that they didn't need him anymore, and we picked him up because that was massive. Okay, let's see here. Next one. Mayfield has a chance of going 1. No. I don't think Baker Mayfield is going to go number 1 at all. There's no way. A couple of reasons why I think that is. One, I think all the talk, like I said before, is just smoking, keeping him away from Sam Darnold or Josh Allen. Because when I've heard, the most talk I've heard with the Browns is related to Sam Darnold. But the other thing that I've heard, which I think is a good move, and that not a lot of people are talking about, is Joe Thomas from the Cleveland Browns, the Hall of Fame offensive tackle, just retired this year. And there's a guy from Notre Dame. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, though. Future Hall of Fame offensive lineman. This guy is the next big thing. And you're going to need people to take care of your quarterback once you draft him, because the Browns have 1 and 4, I think. So a lot of people were saying pick up Saquon and then pick up whatever quarterback's left. But I say you pick up this D line, this O lineman, and then pick up whatever quarterback's left, because you're going to need somebody to be with this quarterback for the rest of his career, taking care of him. Because I mean, if we all know it's a revolving door when it comes to quarterback and coaches in Cleveland. So I mean, if you're going to want to be able to keep your job, you're going to have somebody there who just knows what they're doing. Because if that doesn't happen, then you're screwed. Let's see here. What else do we have? Conor McGregor versus Floyd in the octagon. Is Conor screwed? Well, first of all, Conor's going to jail. So once he does his time, then we can see whether or not he wants to even do it anymore, because he's probably going to get in a lot of fights in jail. I wish you could just have a camera in there, just following him around, just saying "fook this" and "fook that." Oh my God. Everybody and their mom's going to want a piece of him. Except he's going to go to some nice prison with where Martha Stewart went. But could you imagine if he was in like Oz prison or like The Wire? Oh man, he'd get wrecked. Or would he just be like the Punisher and just come out on top? Just blood all over him, just victorious over everything. Well, that's something to think about. You really think about it. Let's see here. But about the fight. I would have to say that, well, here's the thing. There's all these crazy stipulations behind this fight if they do it in the octagon. It's like no shoes. You can grapple, but you can't kick. You can't take it to the ground. Like, it wouldn't even be an MMA fight. So if you're asking, excuse me, if you're asking if I think Conor McGregor would beat Floyd Mayweather in a traditional MMA UFC fight, yes, he would kill him. But that wasn't what the whole thing was about. It wasn't about Mayweather challenging McGregor. Now it's turning into that. But if it does become that, you're going to see it's just going to be just like dirty boxing. That's all it's going to be. It's just going to be barefoot, dirty boxing with 4-ounce gloves instead of 8-ounce gloves. And probably poke somebody in the eye with the fingerless thing. I mean, you're not really going to get what you want out of that. What I want to get, though, and what not a lot of people are asking about is Nick Diaz coming back. And then Nate Diaz's brother fighting for the rematch. That's what we want to see. That's what I want to see. But that's just my opinion. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Will Infinity Wars be the biggest movie ever? No. Black Panther was, and it will probably, I don't think there's anything that was going to beat Black Panther for the biggest movie ever. That was I think it, like, in the first 4 days was breaking box office records, and it was a great movie. I just watched it the other day and I really enjoyed it. But the hype behind that movie was just so big. You can't even fake that kind of hype. It was just literally from the announcement of the movie to when the movie premiered, there was hype the entire time. Now, do I think Infinity Wars is going to be big? Yes, but there's going to be a part 2. So, and they're already setting it up part 1, part 2. So, I mean, how big of a movie is it going to be when you already know that it's not going to be the end? You're going to have to sit there, watch all this movie, and then go back again 3 months later and watch more of it. So I don't think it's going to be as big as a lot of people think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a great movie. Do I think it's going to be one of the best Marvel movies there are? Might be. But you got to realize there are a lot of actors. That's why they're putting it into 2 parts. I don't think you're not even going to see half the actors in one movie and then the other movie, because there's just so many people they've got to bring in. They're bringing in the Guardians now too. So you got to bring all those people into the movie. You're bringing in, I mean, I heard rumors that Deadpool might even be in the movie. So, I mean, you got to realize that it's a lot more than just one guy, you know. That's why you know it's going to be one of those type of movies where you're going to sit through it and it's going to hopefully have a lot of booms and bangs and funny lines and stuff so you can laugh. Hopefully the Hulk breaks a bunch of stuff. But you're just going to be going into that movie knowing that there's going to be a second one. And then what happens after that? Because I've heard what happens after this? What's the next step? Because a lot of these people's contracts are expiring. And for example, Robert Downey Jr. can't play Iron Man forever. They've already brought in a young high school Spider-Man. So are they going to go pivot and maybe introduce new characters and retire these old ones? Like, where do you go from here? That's the other thing. With at least like, that's the question I'm asking. What's the next step? Because there's only so many different things that you can do while the people look like they are, you know? So what do you keep just making these movies until these guys are old and gray and pushing around a wheelchair? Or do you pivot now while there's still a lot of momentum and try to get people excited on something that's different, but sort of the same? That's my appreciation for that. Let's see here. Wolverine just tapped out. Who will be the new one? Ooh, okay. So that's a good question. The new Wolverine. Well, I don't know who it's going to be, but whoever it is, I don't bring back the yellow suit. Okay. I want the short, little pissed off Wolverine with the yellow suit and the mask. And I don't want this. I've got sideburns that make me look like a lumberjack, but I've also got claws. Okay. I want some authenticity in this bitch. Okay. That's all I'm asking. It's not too much to go and just say, hey, the comic books were awesome. The TV show was awesome. Video games are awesome. Why wouldn't just making the Wolverine as is awesome? That's my opinion on that. Oh, let's see here. What else do we have? Oh my, no. Channing Tatum in a standalone Gambit movie. No, Gambit will never get a movie. Gambit's not even in the X-Men. And Gambit to get his own movie? He hasn't even been in any of the X-Men movies to start with. Get out of here. You're out of your mind if you think that's something that's going to happen. And first things first, Gambit's French. So how well do you think Channing Tatum could do a French accent? He couldn't. There's no way. It's crazy talk right there. So just so everybody's tuning in right now. Oh, can we talk? Yes, let's talk about Venom. Let us talk about that awesome trailer. Now that's going to be a movie that I am getting real excited about. For those of you who didn't know, the comic book Venom, you know, one of the villains, or I guess anti-hero or whatever you want to call it, the Spider-Man, is getting its own movie, and Tom Hardy is getting the main role. I just saw the trailer last night, and it was awesome. I don't want to give it away for anybody, so if you haven't seen it yet, go and check it out, but it is incredible. It's going to be a great movie, I think. I'm hoping. And from the looks of it so far, they seem to be doing the right thing. Creole, whatever. Creole, French, same thing. Okay? You want to call them French? What do they speak? What do they speak down there in Louisiana? Huh? They speak French. Okay? I don't need your semantics about your nonsense. Okay? All right, let's see what else we have here. So just for the people tuning in, we did not have a guest today. We had to reschedule, so I am just taking questions. Anybody has any questions about anything, feel free to ask, and I will answer it. All I ask is you keep it decent. But other than that, let's see what else we have here. As in X-Men Origins that doesn't count. Okay, we all need to understand that. Yeah, cool, whatever. He's from Louisiana. He's Creole. They speak French. It's pretty much the same. They're basically French Canadians. I'm doing good, man. Thanks for asking. It's a little more of a personal question, but you know what? I'll answer those too. I am doing good. I've decided to start this podcast. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun. We had a great interview yesterday with Al from Royal Star Sport Fishing. I'm actually wearing one of the shirts that he gave me today. Shout out to them. Shout out to the Big Wave Cafe for making such an awesome shirt. And so it's actually been a pretty good time. Right now, just talking, just being a talking head. Got a guest lined up for tomorrow. We got a guest lined up for Thursday. And I think we're going to have a guest for Friday. I haven't confirmed it yet, but I'm pretty sure they will be here. Come to Pittsburgh and let's disc golf. Hey, man, you buy the ticket, I'm there. I got the discs right there. Right there. Ready to go. You want to do this? We can do this. But you just got to buy me the plane ticket because I'm not buying a plane ticket to Pittsburgh. That sounds crazy. Can people call in? Not yet. Soon they will be able to, and this is going to get a lot better when I'm able to take calls and stuff. But until then, unfortunately, no. I've tried doing the phone over the mic. It just doesn't sound good. Once I have the tech to do that, then yes, you can call in. But until then, unfortunately, no, cannot. All right. Anyway, moving on. Let's see what else we have. Let's see. Celtics Bucks tied at 2. Who's going to push on through? See, that's a good question. My mind is telling me that the Celtics are going to win. But my heart's with Giannis, man. That's my Greek brother. Mr. Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak. That's where my heart is. And when you have to decide between your head and your heart, you go with your heart. Bucks take it. Let's go. Sponsor me. Please contact me and we can discuss sponsoring your company on the podcast. But until then, there are no commercials or any plugs, unless I have somebody on the show. Like, for example, Al yesterday from Royal Star Sport Fishing. They get lots of plugs because they've been the only guest I've had on the show, and so they're getting hooked up. What about the cup? The cup's got water in it because when you talk for 45 minutes straight, get a little parched. I wish I could say that there was something better in the cup, but the cup only has water. Sorry, no beer, no PBR. It's too early. I gotta stay focused to do the show, have a good time. But after the show, you never know. Oh, the Stanley Cup. Well, as of right now, it's Pittsburgh's to lose, in my opinion. When you really think about it, like, they just looked so good. They had that little slip up with Philly, but that team has just been strong all year. And then when you move, but Nashville too, that's the other team that you got to look out for is the Predators. They've year in and year out have been showing that they know how to play a little bit of hockey down there from just the beginning of the season. I mean, I think they scored 7 goals in their first game. Like, that's just an incredible story. And then from there, it's a toss-up. If San Jose can get through them, then I think San Jose's got it all the way to the cup. But the East is just so strong this year. I don't know what you're going to do about that. Sorry, Ryan. Tampa Bay's looking good, but I just don't know about the Lightning this year. I think they're very strong. They're a strong team, but at the same time, they haven't been looking as good as Nashville and Pittsburgh have. And I mean, if you just want me to go through every single team and tell you how I feel, we can do that. But I'm just saying, from my opinion, the 4 strongest teams right now in the Stanley Cup playoffs are Nashville, Pittsburgh on the East, and then it's Vegas and San Jose on the West, and they got to play each other. So to be wide open after that. But besides that, let's see, what else do we have here? Believe. You damn Penguins fans in your Believe three-peat. If somehow that happens, I'm not going to be what you would call a happy person to be watching, needless to say. But you never know. You never know. So for everybody just tuning in again, I'm taking questions from everybody. If you have anything you'd like to ask me, go ahead and just write it in the comments. And I'll go ahead and answer it. Like I said before, if you could just try and keep it decent, that'd be great. No, I definitely agree. Ooh, now you're getting into something I like. Somebody just asked me Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua. For those of you who do not know who these beautiful men are, Anthony Joshua is the heavyweight champion. He has 4 belts, 4 of the 5 belts in the heavyweight. So he's almost the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. He's from England. Deontay Wilder, a.k.a. the Bronze Bomber, has one other belt, the WBF, which is actually one of the most important belts that you can have, from Mobile, Alabama. And these two guys combined weight is like 580 pounds. These are massive men. They're 265 and like 250, coming in at like 6'7" and 6'8". Joshua beat Vladimir Klitschko, who has been for years the pound for pound undisputed greatest heavyweight of all time. And Wilder, though, has never lost a fight. He's won and through everybody and knocked out every single person he's fought. So these two guys are on a crash course to just make things get ugly. They've called each other out. It's going to happen. And in my opinion, and this is actually against what everybody else thinks, I think Deontay Wilder is going to beat the brakes off of him. I've watched them both fight. I see their styles, and I don't consider myself to be a boxing expert, but I do consider myself to know more about boxing than most other sports. And just from their style of fighting and the way that they fight, I think Deontay Wilder can beat him and take all and strip him of all his belts. That being said, though, Joshua is a very, very technical fighter who can break down even the best styles. So when you really got to think about that, it comes down to whether or not strength or skill is going to work out on this one. But then again, now that I'm thinking about it, Wilder really has been slimming down and working on his skill punching. So you never know. You really just don't know until they get in the ring and start swinging with each other. Let's see what else here. Penguins can't do it without Ian Cole. Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired across the bow, ladies and gentlemen. But let's see here. What else do we have going on? Looks like we're getting up to time here. All right. Well, there's what boxing needs. I think what boxing needs is to eliminate some weight classes. That's one of the bigger things. And at the same time, I think the UFC needs to add weight classes. So I'm kind of on both sides of the fence on this one. I mean, in boxing, you have like a 147, a 154, a 162 or whatever. It's like, it's just, there's not a whole lot of, it's everywhere. There's so many different champions. But in the UFC, I mean, to go from 170 to 205 is a massive jump in weight. To go from middleweight to welterweight to light heavyweight, or middleweight to light heavyweight. That's 170 to 205. There needs to be something in between, or from middleweight to welterweight too. I mean, they're jumping 20, 30 pounds. It's crazy. So I think you need to take less. You need less weight classes in boxing and more weight classes in the UFC. But I'm only talking about taking a few. I'm talking about maybe like 10, keeping it in like 10 pounds. Like radiuses. I think that would be good. I think right there, that's where it's something where you would be in the right area. All right, let's see here. Okay, well, I believe that just about does it for today. Sorry for the late broadcast. So we will have some guests. I have a guest on tomorrow as well as Thursday. Let me just get you the name of our guest coming out tomorrow. Her name is, if I can say this right, Chandra Aduse. And she will be hosting a Financial Freedom Day on April 28th at the Escondido City Hall. And she's going to want to, it's a great networking opportunity to empower folks and take charge of their finances and reach the version of their financial success. We'll be having her on the show tomorrow to be talking about the event and everything like that. And then on Thursday, we're going to be having, his name is Ronnie Izagiri, who was a B-boy back in the day and is now dealing with a disease called CIPD, which is actually made him wheelchair bound. And it's a very, very rare disease. And he wants to come on the show and speak with me and let people know about it. So other than that, I'd like to thank everybody who's been listening and who tuned in. If you could please just give this a like and a share, let this get out there. And if you're on YouTube, if you could please give us a subscribe to the Nick Haeling podcast, I'd be really appreciative. But I'd like to thank everybody, and I'd like to wish you guys all a great day. Thank you. Take care. Another one of the